This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by a cortado drinking Joe McNally. Joe, what exactly is in a cortado?
Coffee.
I've never heard of a coffee called cortado before, but here we are, mini coffee. Here we are, New York. Your first fight with a certain Josh Taylor. Um, how excited are you for Saturday night? It's the day before the weigh-in here, so yeah.
Very excited, Andy. We've got a little shakeout in the next couple of hours, and that's it. Then it's a wrap. Time to weigh in tomorrow and fight Saturday, and I'm really excited for the champ. Yeah.
I've seen a few people say, and I echo those words, this is arguably the best that I saw or I've seen Josh heading into a weigh-in. What's he been like throughout camp, keeping his weight down and just gradually getting down to that 140 limit?
Yeah, he's been fantastic. When he come to Liverpool, he had all his pre-testing done and stuff, and he's hit every goal, every stage of camp, and credit to himself, the condition he's in. He's followed the protocol, and yeah, his weight is very, very good, and a lot of people are noticing that, and credit to him for the discipline. He's been a dream to work with this camp.
I know you don't want to look beyond Saturday, but just on that note, for a while people have mentioned, will he move up to 147? He's a big boy for 140, even if he does or doesn't do the weight well. With that in mind, do you think he has much longer at 140, regardless of the result on Saturday night?
Yeah, well, at his age, it doesn't get any easier to make the weight, but through his testing, through Dr. Carl Evans and Vortex, he is a 140-pound fighter. It's his decision to stay at 140 and stay disciplined through a period of camp, or have the leeway, having a little bit of leeway and play about with your weight and do 147. But that's his decision. He can fight at either weight. He's big enough for, and he's got the frame to go to 147. But I genuinely believe that 140 is his weight category.
One thing we always see Josh heading into a fight is he certainly likes to get involved with whoever's in the opposite corner, have their back and forths. Teofimo hasn't shied away from that, and he's mentioned kind of the kilt, and he's put down Josh wearing a kilt and been quite discriminatory towards that. He said that he wants to take Josh's life, which is obviously a comment which has rolled up a fair few people within the sport and outside of the sport. What have you made of anything Teofimo's had to say in the build up to this?
Oh, you know what, Andy? It's one of these for me. We had a broadcast live at Teo and his team, strength conditioning guy he was with, and me and Josh I think it was about 3-4 weeks ago. I'm not entirely sure, and he made the same comments. I'm in this pit. I'm in this game or something to kill, and I want to take your life. I'm willing to die in this. Look, them tight, and he's repeated it again today. I was a massive Teofimo Lopez fan. I'm not a big fan of his attitude, and do you know what? He was brilliant at selling fights, but then his mindset's flipped. Everyone's against him, and little bit of racist shouts here and there, and just to come out in this sport of boxing where people can be seriously injured and die. There's a lot of stupid people in the sport, a lot of brave coaches, and yeah, you shouldn't just say that shit, period. And it's just a tit for saying it, really, isn't he? T.O. the tit. Yeah.
Josh has never lost in his career. Obviously, a lot of people will have their thoughts on that Jack Catterall fight, whether he won or not is up for their debate. But Teofimo, he had that loss to George Kambosos, and a lot of people questioned his own mental attitude after that. Do you think that he's looking mentally weak heading into this fight?
I don't think he's looking mentally weak. He's always been a little bit erratic. His loss against George Kambosos means nothing to me. It was a fantastic fight. Probably contender. I don't know if it was the fight of the year, but it was a barnstormer, and George Kambosos is a fantastic fighter. He gives Devin Haney a fantastic fight. I believe to think he's a little bit small for the big guys. Well, at that weight, the lightweight division, and his mentality to me, it's just He's just being Teo. I think he's along the lines of his dad, really. Very erratic.
Do you think he's disrespected Josh in terms of his own ability and what he's achieved and his accomplishments within the sport?
I think he's been very respectful to Josh in that sense. You know, if you listen to him carefully, he says, you know, no one calls Josh Taylor out. And he's mentioned that numerous times. He also mentions, you know, he stepped up to dethrone Josh at the 140s, give Josh the kudos, like he is the man at 140, which he is. So no, I don't think he's been disrespectful in Josh's comments. As erratic as he is, he's been very respectful in that way. Yeah.
Teofimo's last couple of fights have failed to live up to the hype, failed to deliver on the back of his victory against Vasily Lomachenko. When he steps up now 140, regardless of how he's performed recently and regardless of Josh's last performance against Jack Catterall, what are you expecting from him on Saturday night?
I'm expecting a very hungry fighter. You know, I don't look too much into. It's all right being a champion, and getting the title's the easy part. I wouldn't say it's easy, Andy, but then staying a champion with that motivation. It's the old saying. It's hard to get out of bed when you're wearing silk pajamas. Did he get a little bit ahead of himself? But I truly believe, you know, he fought a bit of a subpar Lomachenko. Lomachenko, in my opinion, is a 130-pound fighter competing at 135. He had the size advantage, and when Loma decided to up the ante in the contest, he was coming a bit unstuck. Before Lomachenko, he fought nobody. You know, he was getting groomed right at top ranked, structured very well, and he capitalised on the fight with Lomachenko. Now, I think he never gained the experience to stay at that level, being the unified champion, not undisputed, and I think he might have underestimated Kambosos a little tiny touch, and he got pipped on a decision. Then he fought Pedro Campos or something. I don't think he was too exciting in that, but he got the TKO victory. Not a bad fighter himself. And then Sandor Martin. You know, people give him a lot of stick for Sandor Martin, but he was meant to fight Jose Pedraza. COVID ruled him out of it, and it's very hard to look good against Sandor Martin. So I don't look too much into that fight either. You know, Sandor Martin just basically run, didn't he? He scored a few flash knockdowns, but he never really hit Teo, and I think anyone will struggle against Sandor. So I'm expecting, you know, a fiery game, you know, Teofimo Lopez, and I expect him to start really aggressive. Yeah.
Probably with the exception of Josh's last couple of fights, we'd been used to seeing a more aggressive nature from him with his work. We know that's what Teofimo likes to do. He likes to come forwards, likes to try and engage with his opponent. Is that something you're trying to bring back out of Josh? Josh has mentioned that he's trying to get back to the Josh Taylor of old. He didn't necessarily feel comfortable with the way that he'd previously boxed when he looks back on the Catterall fight. Is that something we should expect to see on Saturday night, more of an aggressive approach from Josh?
I wouldn't say it's a difficult one, but Josh has always been aggressive. But you know, he needs to be also clever at the same time. At this level, it's if you're too aggressive and reckless, you get capitalised on, and you know you make mistakes. So as aggressive as Josh is, he's very smart with that, which he's really got to control that aggression. You know, I don't want him to be super aggressive. And look, people give him a lot of flack being under Ben Davison and all that, but you know, I also know there's a lot of factors behind it. You know, he done the weight cut wrong, he refuted wrong and against Catterall, and you know, this, that and the other. But at the end of the day, he won. He beat Ramirez, and he come away with a decision against Catterall, a controversial one. But you know, look, the kid won, and he was really aggressive in the Catterall fight, was he not?
It was the man coming forward. Just didn't necessarily seem like he could find the right. I don't want to say punches, right combinations, the right way to break Catterall down.
Catterall's a good fighter.
Jack's a very good fighter. I don't want to disregard Jack's ability in the slightest either.
Well, that's my whole point on it. You know, did the weight cut, did the refuel affect his performance in that fight? And you know, there's a lot of factors in a sense that, you know, and I don't think it's fair on coaches getting the finger pointed at them and blamed. He was fantastic under young Shane McGuigan, and he had a fantastic performance against Ramirez, and you know, he had a hard fight against Catterall, and that's it. He had a hard fight with him. That's my opinion. That's boxing. You know, it is what it is.
I've seen Josh say that he still wants to revisit that rematch, ideally for his next fight after Teofimo. I know you don't want to give too much away, but how would you approach a Jack Catterall fight differently to how Josh did for their first bout?
Not telling you. Nah. I would have loved the fight. You know, I think it's. I don't think it would have ever been a barnstormer anyway. But it was my job to analyse and study Jack. I've known Jack Catterall a long time, and I was quietly confident in Josh doing a fantastic number on Jack. But if he wants to revisit that, you know, but I think, you know, he comes through this Saturday, he's got his eyes on the big ballers, mate, you know, in the game. I think he'll have his eye on Errol Spence and Terence Crawford and, you know, maybe Devin Haney also. So let's see what happens.
Right, a lot of names to touch on. Just to stick with Teofimo, who was mentioning the aggressive nature, one thing that Josh pointed out to me when the fight was first announced is that Teofimo can leave a lot of gaps that he feels he can exploit when he is coming forwards, when he's being aggressive. Do you think that's going to be key for Josh on Saturday night, exploiting those opportunities where Teofimo leaves himself a little open to the counter?
Hopefully. If Teo's super aggressive, can it play into our hands? Most definitely. Is Josh switched on? Does he pay the price? Most definitely. It's a genuine 50-50 fight, but one we're prepared for. If he wants a boxing match, he'll get one. If he wants a fight toe to toe, he'll get one of them too.
Mentioning those names that Josh could go on to fight, the Devin Haney's, the Rudy Prograis, the potential tank fight, Shakur, all of these American guys. Are there any concerns if this fight went to the scorecards that maybe it would lean in the favour of Teofimo, because obviously Top Rank spent a while building up the image of Teofimo. Yeah, he's had a couple of bumpy performances to say the least recently, but he's certainly still in that bracket of trying to put him in with the Haneys, with the Shakurs. Are there any concerns of that from you?
It certainly is, Andy, and you know what? You've tapped on one of my biggest fears of being here in New York the past 2 weeks. It's, for me, is, you know, stateside, Devin Haney's just come off a controversial decision against Lomachenko. You know, he's been ousted out of the picture, and right now you're talking, you know, from the 135, 140 division. You've got Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia, Shakur Stevenson, where they're about them. He's got the frame to move up also. You know, when there's Teofimo, I'm under no illusion that Top Rank have invested heavily in Teofimo Lopez from when he turned professional. They groomed him for superstardom. He's had a few blips, and look, you know, they haven't even pushed him to do one interview like this here. You ain't seen him. You know, they're wrapping him a bit in cotton wool here. I've had a few disagreements with certain people. Josh Taylor trying to get pulled pillar to post here, and you know, I just hope that, you know, if it is a close fight and it goes to the scorecards, Mr. Taylor gets a fair crack at the whip, and I just hope that it isn't the case that they want to keep all these super fights stateside, because Josh has got a dream of fighting back home in Scotland again, whether that's any one of them or someone from Europe, I don't know, but you know, yeah, it's a little seed in my brain that, you know, I've thought about it, mate. You bang on the money, Andy.
Does that put more pressure on you then as a trainer heading into fight night? You know, you want to win the rounds and win them comfortably, but does it play on your mind as to whether or not maybe you need to go that step further and ensure you've got maybe a knockdown or two to Josh's name, or Josh can stop Teofimo?
Yeah, let's try and stop him. I do like stoppages, you know, and the thing for me is, let's not leave it to the judges. But if it does go to the judges' scorecard, because Teofimo's a fantastic fighter, you know, let's make it that convincing that they cannot take it, and it's the business we're in, eh? Sport of boxing, only in the sport of boxing.
Joe, you've obviously been involved in some massive fights, specifically over these last couple of years, but for you, where does Saturday night line up in terms of any fight you've been involved in?
Well, you know, it's massive, but at the same time, I was here 12 short months ago with Liam Smith, and the press conference we were in today, I won't blame Top Rank, but Matchroom and DAZN, done a public workout for Liam. There was, 500, 600, 700 of the public there. It was bouncing. The press conference was in the actual theatre that Josh is fighting in. There was thousands there. I know Katie and Serrano sold it, and Liam was, obviously when we come out, it was sold out, the garden. So, for the undisputed champion of the world, there's a little bit of a subdued feeling about it. It's in the smaller one. Even the press conference today, because Teo was rambling a lot of fuckeries, they cut it short. They never even asked no reporters, do you want a question, do you want this? Josh turned up to, for his obligations to do that, and he never. So, as big as the fight is for the boxing fraternity, I don't think it's been promoted and put out there to the best interest of the two fighters. Massively underappreciated fight in boxing, this. Yeah.
I've just seen Josh come bouncing down there, screaming, shouting, it must be a good sign because he was in a positive mood the day before a weigh-in. So just a few other topics to touch on before I let you go and catch up with your man, Joe. Liam Smith, the Chris Eubank Jr. rematch been postponed. No official new date has been announced yet, but we're expecting now to see a Eubank Jr. and Ben fight instead. What is your understanding of how things land? Can we see that, or is Junior tied in to have to face Liam?
Sorry, what's that about Ben?
So there's a lot of reports that we're going to see Ben and Eubank Jr. face each other next. Obviously, Liam was in line to face Junior in their rematch. Contractually, do you know if it's possible for Junior to face Ben, or does he have to fight Liam next?
Yeah, do you know what, Andy? First and foremost, and lastly, I'm a coach. I don't really like to get involved in the business side of things. That's for the fighter and the managers. That's a shitty business right there. Contractual wise, all I'm under is Liam was injured, showing proof of his injury. He's actually recovering, and I'm under the pretenses that he's fighting Chris Eubank next. And that's what I know regarding Ben lingering about for a fight with him or not. It's like, save your ban, and I think if Chris decided to go ahead with that fight, would Chris get banned off the board? I know that something's going on in the background with a court case with Ben, and the boards are quite confident to coming out victorious. So there's a lot of shit going on, isn't there, with that? But yeah, I'm led to believe, and what I will work towards is the rematch with Chris Eubank Jr. for Liam, and one I'm really, really confident in. Yeah.
So as far as your kind of continuing business, it is very much so head on Liam Smith versus Chris Eubank Jr. too.
Yes, that's what I'm led to believe, and I haven't spoke to Liam since I've been here, obviously tuning in and concentrating on Josh, but when I get back I'll sit down with with Liam and discuss it. But yeah, before I come out here, it was, I cannot go ahead with the date, the proposed date. It just kept flaring up on the man's back, and he weren't ready to go into camp, and he said, I'm still fighting Chris, okay, no problem. And I'm just happy that he's letting himself recover so we can get the full camp out and be 110% prepared for Chris again.
I certainly don't want to annoy anyone from keeping you for too much longer. So just a final man to touch on. JJ Metcalf had a great win recently, picking up that IBO title. Just how proud were you and happy for him were you, and where does he and his career go from here?
Do you know what, Andy? It means a lot to me. I worked with James in the past. We had the WBC International win. We had a few fantastic wins, British title eliminator and stuff. And then unfortunately we parted ways. And for him to come off 2 defeats, reach out to me and said, look, I'm getting offered this European title shot against Kerman Lariaja. I'm retired, but I think I've got a little bit left. And I said, well, let's get in the gym and let's see what's there. And he come back with that fantastic win for no money whatsoever in Spain. Come again, beat the American boy, and then's gone on to beat fringe world title challenger Dennis Hogan to be IBO world champion. And do you know what? It just fills me heart with so proud for the man, going from retirement to now, in the top 5 in most world governing bodies, and to pick up the IBO world championship. It means a lot to me. The man's a diamond, and I just hope Eddie and Matchroom and his management team provide the right fights for him to now earn a little bit of money and pay back. He's achieved his goal as being a world champion, and he gets paid financially for his fights. know what fight I'd love from? I'd love Jose Benavidez, defensive as IBO. I'd love Danny Garcia. Give him a big name. Give him a big name, and there's been a few other little names flitting about, which really I'm like, well, it's a bit of a step backwards. Give him a marquee name, give him a standout fight, and then go there. They've mentioned a few names that are like want that last crack of the whip themselves, the long in the tooth, and they're as old as me, and it's like, it's fuck them. Get them a good marquee name and let the kids earn a few shilling out of the sport.
Joe, it's a pleasure as always. I'm leaving now to go and catch up with the team. Thank you for speaking to me. Of course, good luck on Saturday night.
Yeah, pleasure as always, Andy. Thank you.